Welcome everybody. We at STEMnet are hosting Sharat, who's a robotics expert. He has done his master's in robotics in University of Buffalo, and now he's working as a data scientist at Altair. And we are very lucky to have him here with us doing this session for us. In fact, it's a series of sessions. It is an entire project that he will help you walk through. It's all yours now.
My name is Sharat. I have done my bachelor's in mechanical engineering from BMSCE right here in Bangalore in 2016. And from that, I did my master's in mechanical engineering with like a thesis focusing on machine learning and robotics and optimization. Currently, I work in the data science team at Altair Engineering. So those of you who are familiar with the mechanical space might have heard of Altair. So right now we're kind of working on like mixing data science with mechanical engineering and manufacturing in general. You can sort of see the lesson plan here. Before going further into today's lesson, we'll just go over the lesson plan and the particular outcomes of this series of lessons. So as the title suggests, this is just an introduction to robotics. So you'll just get your hands dirty on working with the first few modules of robotics. In the next few slides, you will see where this all comes in when you take into account the larger picture. But going forward, we'll just start off small, start with the introduction of robotics, delve into the theory of how to make robots move in the form of robotic kinematics, and we'll eventually culminate in like you guys implementing your own obstacle avoidance algorithm. If time permits, I think we should be able to do this by the 5th lesson, but depending on the available time, I might also talk about more intermediate modules like motion planning or control theory, but it all depends on the progress and all that. So some of the outcomes that you can expect from this lesson would include, you guys learning how to build your own robot in terms of the modules and the programming. And you'll also get sort of hands-on experience using some of these robotic simulators, as well as using Python to control some of these simulators and control your robot. Python is perhaps the most employable skill nowadays, and I think it would be nice to incorporate that. Okay, so yeah, today we'll just start off nice and easy. We'll just explain, we'll just start off with what robots are, where they're used. Then we'll slowly get into the different components of robots. We'll explain what makes a robot a robot. Then I'll explain what robotic simulators are, where they're used in the industry and research. And then finally, I'll explain some of the prerequisites you might need to know in order to become a roboticist. And I'll also give you a small demo in one of these simulations. Okay, so first off, what are robots? It's a pretty open-ended question, and if you ask me, the definition is also very simple. So if you ask me also, I would say it's just a collection of electronics, electromechanical, mechanical, and software parts, all mingling with each other in a sort of feedback loop. Some examples of robots include, industrial robots, UAVs, AGVs, which are your autonomous ground vehicles, and your humanoid robots as well. There is a distinction to be made between autonomous robots and industrial robots, which I think is not well known, but we'll get into that in the next slide. So before going to the next slide, I'll just give you a quick video on what I think might be the coolest robot out there. It's perhaps the most complex robot out there, and I think it took like 10-15 years for these guys to come to this stage. And I also always bring, whenever I talk about robotics, I also bring the analogy of robots versus humans. Our operations are very similar in some ways. So you can see in this example of the Boston Dynamics robot as to how similar robot's behavior can be to that of a humans. But yeah, obviously this took much time and effort, but yeah. So coming to the distinction of an autonomous robot versus robots used in automation or etc. So the key distinction would lie in its ability to learn and adapt to its new surroundings. So for example, coming to your example of an robots used in automation. So for example, robots installing car assemblies. These robots can't really be termed as autonomous robots due to their routine way of operating. So if you give these industrial robots a new part to install, they would not be able to do it. So they don't have any learning or adaptation inbuilt into their system. So when we talk of autonomous robots, this is the key distinction. Regardless of what configuration your actual robot will be, the distinction lies in its ability to learn new things. So swarm robots, they are used in multiple areas such as search and rescue, and they're even being used in, well, there are talks of them being used in healthcare as well. But these are down the line and all that. The NASA rover is also an example of an autonomous robot. And another famous example would be your self-driving car. Even though it's a car, it is a robot because of its ability to learn from its surroundings and its ability to operate with minimal human intervention. All right, so now we'll get into like a bit more detail as to what constitutes a robot, or in other words, what makes a robot a robot. So you can see from the picture on the right, it's a picture of a robotic arm. So you can see the number of components involved that goes into making even something as simple as a robotic arm. Okay, it's not really simple, but you get the point. It's perhaps the simplest robotic design out there. So you have, as I said before, robots are like a combination of your mechanical, electronics, and your software all jumbled together and working together in a seamless loop. So you have your mechanical parts, which include your joints, your links, your wheels, etc. You have your electromechanical parts. It's like a combination of various components acting together. So you can also draw an analogy between your the human body and a robot right here. You can think of your mechanical parts like your hands, your elbows, etc. Your electromechanical parts as your muscles, which cause the moment your hands to move, and your electronics would be analogous to your senses of touch, eyesight, etc. And then you have your brain, which is similar to your software of a robot, which actually makes the decisions. And okay, so I did briefly mention that robots act in a loop. The components of all these components act in a loop. So you can see this is a crude way of seeing how they act in a loop. So suppose you have your NASA rover operating on Mars. It collects sensor data, and depending on what it sees around its world or what it perceives. So your control system, upon seeing what the robot perceives in its environment, it'll make a decision. So suppose the rover sees that there is a crater right in front of it. Its control system or its software will tell its motors to move in a particular way to avoid the crater, or simple obstacle avoidance. This motor will then relay its information to the joints and or the wheels, and then the loop ends with the sensor collecting further information to determine whether or not the crater has been avoided. And that's basically how it operates.